Offer the filter pump unit up to check it fits in the space you intend to plumb it in. You can see where the suction pipe will run straight out the front of the pump, so ensure that there are no obstructions. Glue a section of pipe into the union on the front of the pump, long enough to pass through the wall of the shed and to clear any shed base. Set the pump filter unit up so that the pipe is level and touches the wall of the shed. Mark this, and using a suitably sized hole cutter, cut out a hole for the pipe to run through. The return port on the multi-port valve needs to have a male threaded union fitted. Take a union and wrap 10 turns of PTFE tape around the thread in a clockwise direction. Wind this into the female threaded port on the multi-port valve and tighten it about a quarter of a turn with grips. Do not force it too much or you could damage the body of the multi-port valve. Now the filter pump unit is in place, you can assess where the other pipes will run through the wall of the shed. There is a return line to the eyeball fitting, and in our case this will run via an optional electric flow-through heater. The third pipe is the backwash line. For this you can use the flexible backwash hose, or as in our case, by purchasing additional pipe and fittings, run a rigid pipe. The pump connects to the multi-port valve attached to the top of the filter with a flexible pipe, which will be secured onto hose tails with Jubilee clips. This should be left to last after the filter sand is put into the filter. The heater has male threaded unions provided, and these should be fitted either side of the unit using PTFE tape again. With the heater, it is important that it is the lowest item in the plumbing, so that any air in the system will never get trapped inside it. So by floor standing the heater with the supply pipe running down from the multi-port valve and the return pipe raised before it goes through the wall of the shed, we achieve this. Preparation is very important to make a good solvent joint. Clean the surface of the fitting and the pipe with a pipe cleaner. This is done easily using a 1 cm paintbrush. Get one with a plastic handle, not painted, as the thinners dissolve the paint and it gets very messy. Apply the solvent weld cement to both surfaces and force the pipe into the fitting, finishing with a quarter turn to ensure that all surfaces are covered. As discussed earlier, the skimmer and throat may be supplied separately or already joined. If separate, prior to gluing them together, it is easier to do the first joints below the skimmer. In our case, we have an additional valve at this point, so ignore this please. The nipple can either be fitted into the bottom of the skimmer with PTFE tape, or as this skimmer will be decked in and never touched again, we can glue the joint. Use plenty of glue on the skimmer body to throat joint, as you do not want it to leak after installation. The final top rail can now be fixed into place. Run the skimmer pipe from the skimmer body to connect onto the pipe through the wall of the plant room. pipework should run from the return back to the plant room and connect onto the return pipe from the filtration heating system. The return shown in the DVD also has an extra valve that we needed to fit for filming purposes, so please ignore this. In this example, we've installed a rigid backwash pipe. You can purchase additional pipe and fittings from your dealer to do this, or just use the flexible backwash pipe provided in the kit. You do get a better flow rate through a rigid pipe, and therefore a more efficient backwash. The better the backwash, the cleaner your filter will keep the pool water. Now all the equipment and pipework is in place, we can fill the filter with filter media. Undo the unions holding the valve in place and remove the valve. Half fill the tank with water from your hose. This slows the sand down as you pour it in, and it will not thump down and break any of the plastic lateral system at the bottom of the tank. Check that the central pipe and lateral system is in place, and it should be as central as possible in the tank. Place the white plastic sand guard into place. This is very important as you do not want any sand going down the central pipe. Pour the sand down into the filter from the bags provided. Do not use any other type or grade of sand. Once all sand is in place, take out the sand guard and brush away any loose sand. The multiport valve now fits back in place on top of the filter tank, but you will have to grease the larger outer O-ring and the small O-ring inside the base of the valve, preferably with silicone grease or Vaseline. Once the valve has slid down into position, it needs to be fixed in place with a clamp system. There are two sets of nuts and bolts with the nuts fitting in the moulded recesses. Tighten these fixings as much as possible.